All for the culture.
Welcome to People and Culture, where pop culture meets belonging. I'm your host, Zaida Sherman, a longtime culture and belonging professional and pop culture junkie. Each episode, I will be joined by experts, and we will discuss what it means to belong in different spaces and at different pop culture moments.
All for the culture.
Sally Glass, thank you so much for being here with me. This has been a long time coming, as we were just chatting, off camera. I've never interviewed you, but you've interviewed me. So today the tables are turning. And for the listeners out there, for the viewers out there, today is all about writing and art as protest. And I am so blessed, so fortunate, so lucky to be talking to Sally Glass, who I've known for 4.5-ish years through our time together, mostly at the Southern California Institute of Architecture, where we were writing community messages of solidarity together and writing a lot of messages during times of turbulence and crisis, politically and socially. And so it only made sense to reach out to you today because we're still in crisis and we're still in turbulence. So here's how it's going to go down. I'm going to say some very lovely words about you, and then I'm going to ask you to share what you feel is helpful and relevant for the listeners and viewers out there. And then we're going to just tackle these topics and talk about protests and writing and art.
Great, let's go.
Okay. Okay. I'm so
Thank
excited.
you for having me, Zaida.
Of course. In my eyes, not just in my eyes, but in the eyes of many, I think you have really just hit the ground running and done so much by way of your art. You've curated all over the world. You have your MFA from UT Dallas, and you've done all these solo and group exhibitions. I know you're writing from our time at SciArc, but I hope you'll share more today about just what you're up to and what's been inspiring you. I will also say for the listeners and the viewers, Sally's very iconic in her fashion and in her looks. Like she always came to our annual spring show with a strong, memorable, just through the roof, fantastic look. And she's just a delight to be around. So, Sally, what do you want the people to know about you?
Well, I mean, that's hard to follow, but thank you very much. Takes one to know one. First of all, um, it's an honor to be considered iconic in your eyes, and also as a trusted and collaborative colleague over the past 4.5 years. Um, I guess about me, yeah, I think I came to writing pretty honestly. I remember being in the first grade, um, and writing my first grade story on my dad's like little computer, and I printed it out and I sold it outside like a lemonade stand
You sold your first
for
piece
a
of
dollar.
writing,
Yeah, and my best friend at the time wrote one too. And I think the reason
like
why I wrote,
creative and entrepreneurial at the
yes,
same time. I love it.
yes, but the
Okay.
reason why I wrote it is because I was diagnosed as having ADD when I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
And so I think in writing that, I wanted to share some part of my experience with the world. And it's interesting that I didn't really come to writing uh, seriously until, I don't know, the last few years. I didn't really accept that about myself or see it as something that I could contribute to the world in a meaningful way. But it's always been there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, over the last few years, it's been really exciting to, and I think in this position, it kind of galvanized that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was something that you had revisited in recent years. I thought you had been doing this your whole life.
I
But
mean,
it's
in
one of
some
those
ways,
things.
probably, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. 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 What does writing mean to you at this stage of the game?
Well, I think in it's sort of a two-prong, like personally it means something to me, just in terms of the way that it's a medium through which I can express myself,
Yeah.
um, both through speaking and writing, not necessarily publicly, but in communicating with people, friends, family, therapists. I find that it's the most useful way. Listening and speaking are the ways that I communicate the best, and writing just feels like a natural extension of those things.
Mhm.
But in terms of like my work, it feels like a skill that I can employ to help flesh out the needs that are around me, or um, kind of like our work together. It felt like a way that I could kind of roll up my sleeves and, you know, make my brain work towards a goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we first collaborated, basically on the heels of summer 2020, Black Lives Matter, a lot of unrest in our nation. And I wonder for you, how did it feel to be kind of thrown into that?
Oh man. Well, it was a really immersive time,
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, it felt like all of us were kind of striving to create a different set of circumstances to grow from.
Yeah.
And I think because all of our focus was on this one collective goal, collective need, it was a big problem that we were all trying to solve together. And so in that way, it felt um, important, and uh, I would say just this collective feeling of energy, which was really rewarding at the time. It was also, traumatic and horrible and
Yeah.
devastating. But at the same time, because we were all sort of coming to it at this one moment in time, it felt like there were steps that we could take at the time to move forward or towards this particular end, even if it was uncertain, or even if it wasn't necessarily clear the goal, the outcome that we wanted. We knew that we needed something different to happen, and everybody was throwing everything they could with feeling at what we knew needed to change.
Was that your first time using art or writing or a different medium to make sense of protest
I
or
think
to
so.
protest deliberately?
I think so. And I don't know if it's because I was in a particular position or role that required that. Um, but I think I've always had difficulty feeling like anything of mine, or that my voice was purposeful towards any type of activist role. Like there wasn't anything outlined that I was putting myself toward. I didn't think like I am I I have something to say that will make a difference by myself. And so I think because we were together in this is something we need to outline for our institution to protect our students, and say our piece about how we feel architecture education, the world as a whole needs to see this situation and this set of values that we want to put forth. Like that was something I could get my head around, and I felt confident in, I mean, not confident, just passionate and hopeful about. And
Yeah.
I was being given the opportunity to do that, and so I embraced that as much as I could, and it felt good to do.
Good. It's wild that this is the first time we're really
I
talking
know.
about this like several years
I
after.
know. I'm like, I don't know.
What I heard was that since we were all in it together, you felt more supported, you felt more maybe empowered. And for me, this is the first time we're having this conversation in all these years, but it seems so seamless the way that we both were showing up. So I didn't know you had any reservations or hesitations at all, which I think is a testament to whatever you got through within yourself. Because I'm really proud of the work that we did. And even recently, we collaborated on the Lexicon in response to the current president's crackdown on anything related to people living their best lives, women, LGBTQIA,
Yes.
Black people, brown people, immigrants, anyone who has been othered. There's been a severe and wild and authoritarian crackdown. And so we came together to create new language for people to use.
That's
And
right.
I want to know, was there anything, has there been anything besides like the community of support in the collaborations? Was there any like art or artistic inspiration or protest inspiration that fueled you through?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I want to say that you helped fuel me through. I think when you came into SciArc, I mean, I believe we had just published the structural actions
Yeah.
statement. It was right. Okay. So, we'd already gone through this process, putting out this statement and this kind of comprehensive plan for the institution towards inclusivity and equity in architecture. But then when you came in, part of my job was to interview you and to meet you and to kind of get into what your role was going to be. And I think automatically I felt like you knew what you were doing, but also, I don't know, I felt like I trusted you. And then throughout all of the trainings that you provided, uh, it was just kind of, I followed your lead. And so, and then when we started working together on statements, I thought we had a really great dialogue and back and forth and a pretty seamless flow into how we wanted to say things
Yeah.
and what we wanted to prioritize. And I think because of that, our working relationship was really strong. And then the things that we put out were really strong. So, we are only as good as the people that we're working with in so many cases. And you were just a really great, trustworthy, supportive, proactive person. Um, and so it was easy. Always, and you're a really wonderful writer and editor. So it was kind of a no-brainer. We never had any question that when we needed to work on something, it would be a supportive experience. So yeah. And when it
Right.
comes to
Yeah.
lexicon, I mean, I think at least at first, we were working on statements of solidarity. And, you know, when challenging things happen politically and uh societally, it's so discouraging. And
Yeah.
so, but because we're kind of pushing through those moments to find some structure or something stable that we can attach ourselves to give other people some sort of hope or comfort, that's like that feels like the mission, and that's, I think in some ways that is more meaningful to me than writing something from myself, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
because
I
it
think it does.
satisfies some sort of need.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know for
There's a
me,
directive. There's a directive. Sorry, what were you
yeah.
saying?
Oh, I was thinking about how some of the articles specifically that I've written in the last 10 years about belonging, race, gender, being an adult, that kind of thing, it usually starts with me trying to make sense of an issue within myself. But then it's like, oh, and this can probably help other people too. So I think having
Right.
a common thread is something that's something that's real and it's meaningful. And I really, full disclosure, like I struggled with the concept of this topic being on this podcast, which is very like pop culture focused, because everyone loves pop culture, whether they want to admit it or not, they engage
I
with it.
do.
Yeah. um, but I think we're in this moment where, you know, we're seeing memes about politicians. We're seeing, like, you go to a protest, you see all of the creative signs and, you know, like posters that people create. And there is this interesting, like, intersection of what's happening politically and how we ourselves are making sense of it. And so it's like, well, I think writing absolutely has a place within this. So it's my podcast. We're here.
Yeah,
We're gonna talk about it. And I know
absolutely.
I know for me, it was a no-brainer reaching out to you to work on the lexicon, specifically because you're such a strong writer and we work so well together, and like our objectives are clear, like we're just aligned, right? Um,
Yeah.
and it was a crazy time. So for listeners, for viewers, let's flash back to earlier in 2025. February 14th, there was a Dear Colleague letter that went out to all colleges and universities, basically saying, hey, if you're getting federal funding, we're going to crack down on the ways you create programs, scholarships, physical facilities. So, like residence halls, affinity gathering spaces, all of that that's race based for people who are not white. um, you got 2 weeks to get it together and update what you're doing and how you're doing it. So we had to like go through the website and like look for things that could get us flagged, because behind the scenes, this administration had created like reporting lines for people to more or less police each other. And that was terrifying. There was just heightened fear, heightened anxieties, right? And I'll stop there, but like, what do you remember just from that moment?
I mean, that moment I was like, this is fascism. I was
Yeah,
like, this is fascism. And immediately I remember thinking, how do we subvert this?
yeah,
How do we be, I mean, because there's a deep history of using language in a revolutionary capacity, right? Like
sure.
underground pamphlets and
Yeah,
things that activists and people in the underground movements were sending to each other to like galvanize and create movements to resist
yeah,
um, authoritarianism and fascism. And so immediately I kind of went into that mode, like, F this. Like,
yeah,
what can we do to, use these circumstances in a way that can still serve the people that need them?
yeah.
Because it's all such a spectacle. It's all like,
Truly.
I mean, that is the thing about this administration, is that so much of it is spectacle to distract from, you know, the issues that they don't want attention being paid to. I mean, it's all, anyway, I don't want to get in too deep about that, but that is what it feels like. And so it's kind of like, how do we subvert this moment to, I mean, because there's so much fighting you can do on the surface that wears you out. And I think at
Yeah,
least this time around, instead of just doing that, it's using that energy and that effort and all the intelligence and collaboration that we have to just be like, I'm not gonna fight you on top. I'm gonna fight you from the inside. And that means using language, using words, using communication to kind of like signal to each other that like we can get through this as long as we're smarter, not harder about it. And and that's, I guess, kind of, and when you approached me, I was like, yes, like, how do we be sneaky? I love to be sneaky when it's for a good cause. I'm like, but there's like an irreverent to it too. It's like, you think you can fuck with, am I allowed to say fuck on this? Okay. You think you can
yes.
fuck with us? Well, we're smart than you. We're smart than you. It's like, you think you can fuck with us? Well, you can't. We're
Right.
smarter than you, and we're gonna use our words as a tool
Yeah.
to find our way back to each other so that we can retain some level of autonomy and move just to survive and thrive under the radar, because that's kind of like what works in terms of revolution, in terms of resistance. It's being
Yeah.
underground,
I love
and
that.
language is such a powerful tool to do that. I mean, even like what you were talking about memes, to bring it back to pop culture.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds about memes. Sometimes I feel like, tweets and memes and things can be asinine and kind of devalue the political moment,
Yeah.
or take the air out of what is really troubling, scary, upsetting, devastating, all of these things. But comedy is important.
It really is.
It is important. Like, being able to laugh at and take power from those that oppress is important.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's a weapon too. Um, but anyway, that all comedy and language, these are tools of the people.
Truly, truly. And I think that's what lit me up about it. I had seen the trends politically for some time. It was quite clear where things were headed, and I had been having conversations with our leadership to prepare them, and everybody was on board, and it was great. But I was like, oh shit, this is the moment. Like having
Yeah,
having learned about these things in graduate studies and in college, and just coming up and learning about, let's say, basic like Underground Railroad, for example. It's like, how
totally.
did people who had so few tools available to them, how in the hell did they orchestrate all of this? Okay, you have to be subversive,
Yeah,
you have to use coded language, you have to be a master of a lexicon, right? To even
totally.
understand, okay, instead of saying this, we're going to say that. Instead of you say this, but I'm going to call it that. And the people who need to know, they pick up on the signal and they have what they need to really continue another day. Like, I think the
Yeah,
spirit of this project was not to say to people boldly and wrongfully, honestly, that like, we're going to promise you a fail proof solution to Trump proof everything and it's going to work 100% of the time. No, this was about survival. It's about persistence. It's about, yeah, being sneaky and and kind of having fun and like flipping the middle finger a little bit to the powers that be so we can support our communities.
yeah,
And I love everything that you said, and I feel like all amped up and excited now. But I do actually want to take a minute to just show for viewers out there what it is that we're talking about.
yeah.
So with this lexicon, right, like it's actually a multi-page document that we co-created, and the heart of it, the meat of it, is really listing out almost 200 words and phrases that got the NSF, the National Science Foundation, and National Institute of Health flagged in their funding. So words like allyship got them penalized. And so we said, well, what else can we say? How about support for communities? How about standing up for others? How about accountability across communities? Things like that. I want to know from you,
Yes.
are there any words that were particularly fun to work with here?
Oh my God.
I
I mean,
know for
kind of
me,
all of them.
I think for me, commercial sex
Sex
worker,
entrepreneur, that's a good
that
one.
was a good one. I love that.
Yeah, sex entrepreneur. I mean, this is art at its highest form, because you're just being creative. Like, we're being inventors of usage.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, female feminized. It's just like,
this was a wild
it
exercise.
was so
It,
fun.
it really was. I had a
I mean,
blast.
it was, of course, I mean, this is where the comedy comes in, right? It's like, this
Yeah,
is a horrifying reality that we're contending with,
yeah,
but we're kind of putting that in a box for a second
yeah,
and seeing it as this, like, I mean, because it is absurd, right? It's
Truly.
absurd that we have to create an entire new dictionary of words for people to use to survive, right?
Yes.
Like that's
That's
insane.
that's really what it is
It is.
in the
But
most basic form.
in its most basic form, but also like having to choose these specific words feels silly in
Yeah.
a way. And it is really important, and the foundation of it is pretty dark. But the fact that we're able to approach it as this creative challenge, I think was really helpful
Yeah.
because, we just we were like, what about this? What about, it's just you're living in possibility at kind of opening up opening up possibility for how we can see the world in these new ways and how
Yeah.
we can attach language to that in different ways. So, yeah, in a way it was really a fun challenge. Plus, like, as you mentioned, we are very aligned in how we approach these things, how we think about them, and also like how we use language, I think. I think we got really lucky in that. And so it was a very easy task to tackle together.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
not easy
agree.
ideologically, but easy in terms of like the collaborative process,
For
as it
sure.
has been since we started working together.
For sure. I think it was another amazing collaboration and a fun intellectual challenge that I wish we had not been prompted to tackle.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Well, and
saying?
also you're a genius that you even saw the writing on the wall so early. And this was something that was on your mind. I mean, the ingenuity that it takes and the resourcefulness that it takes to come up with something like this is incredible. And I give you all the credit for that.
Thank you. I'll just flash back quickly. I remember all of the Supreme Court decisions coming out summer 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the Supreme Court ruling against, abortion and just like cracking down on that. And it was like, okay, this
Hmm.
is the train. This is the direction it's
Yeah.
headed in. I could see that. And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I remember like fall, maybe late fall of 2024. My boyfriend and I went camping and we had gone on a walk and we were talking about life and work and all these things. And politics came up for me. And I said something like, it feels like we just need a new language. Like we need new words to describe, the work of inclusion and DEI and all of these things. And I don't know what it's going to be, but that would be great if we had something else like in our toolkit because I can feel and I can see what's coming and I want people to be prepared. And as the current president stepped into office, and then all the funding cuts were happening to organizations who are doing fantastic work for just about every aspect of human life. I was seeing people were overwhelmed. It's like, wait, what do you mean? Even when the articles are coming out, like, here's all the words that have been flagged. People were shutting down and like getting so overwhelmed and looking at this as just like insurmountable. And I just think there's something within me, within us, that's like, no, don't, don't, don't fold.
Yeah.
Like, just come up with another plan. And language was available to us, and it's a skill and a gift that we have. So let's show people there are other phrases, other terminologies, other words that you can use. It's going to be a little bit clunky, but it's going to be better than just giving in and giving up.
Yeah.
That's never
Absolutely.
the move.
Yeah. And I mean, again, to your credit, seeing that opportunity and taking it is is the difference between folding and not folding. I mean, you can have the skill, but until you see the space where it needs to go and decide, I'm going to do that and enlist help to do that, I mean, that is a power that you hold in being an advocate in the world. And we need that so much.
Thank you. I want to kind of close us out or transition us to a
Mhm.
close. Do you have any advice, any suggestions on how writers or even other creatives can meet the moment during these kinds of political crises? I'm calling it a crisis because it's a
It
crisis.
is.
This is not okay.
It's not okay, and it's, we're in it for it's going to be a haul, and I
Yeah.
think, kind of in the most optimistic way, we've been through this before, but also in a cautionary way, like that means that there's more experience on the other end to enact change that will be a lot more difficult to reverse. So it's really tough, feels bad, and at the same time,
Yes.
um, but we've had the experience before too, and I think that is one of the differences that I'm seeing now is that people are becoming less reactionary and more strategic. And so I think, I guess for me, in terms of writing, in terms of activism, I try to pay attention to people and places that are offering or brainstorming concrete ways to put, pardon the pun, pen to paper,
Yeah.
uh, pushing back on the powers that be. It's like the water droplet. It's the repetition, it's the consistency, it's persistence. Persistence is resistance. I'm sure somebody has said that somewhere in the world, but right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think, yeah, it's just not giving up and finding a way into, just like taking the opportunities as they come, as you see, like if I see myself as useful in this way, and, I could be better about seeking out more opportunities to do that. And more regular, consistent ways to put myself in that position to help and to offer the skills that I have to use language as a tool to resist total authoritarian crisis.
Yeah. I think that's well said. I think these are helpful reminders for people. Like, even for me, I saw something on social media. This is probably around the time of the No Kings protests that were happening nationwide, but also
Mm.
kind of globally.
Yeah,
And it was something to the effect of here's all the different ways you can show up. Like, people always have questions about how to be an ally, how to be in solidarity, how to stand up for others, however you want to call it. And there's always different lanes available given someone's resources, talents, and skill set. And I was looking at one about writing specifically, and organizations need specifically help with writing memos, writing emails, writing the politicians, things like that. And I was like, oh, huh, that hadn't even dawned on me as a
yeah.
way to show up
Have you
thoughtfully.
been doing that?
I'm working on it. I'm working.
I'll do it. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I mean, I tend to do things that are like low lifts on a sustainable level. So, like, make the donation,
Totally.
go to this protest.
Yes.
I like when organizations already have the messages drafted to the politicians, and then they're like, yeah, just fit it. You click something, and then it just auto fills all your information, and then you just click it, and then it sends. I feel like being a part of that would be very helpful, and I'm
Yeah.
something I could actually contribute.
Also,
So
people talk about this
we'll
all
see.
the.
I'm working on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was gonna say something that I like to do also is just like when I see someone with a GoFundMe, just like giving him a couple dollars.
Yeah, for sure.
Like especially trans folks, especially Black folks that like are going through a hard time financially. Just like little bits of money here and there, like real money to actual people makes a huge difference. Like when the fires happened in LA, like people had this spreadsheet of people, like
I
real people who had lost
saw.
their homes. And
Yeah.
it's just like a little bit goes a long way when it comes to giving money when you can to actual people. And also, organizations on the ground that are doing work in places like Gaza and just like little things here and there. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think they have to do this huge, big thing. And no, it's kind of, I think to sustain yourself, but also like help sustain the other community you're trying to support in your allyship. Like it's a lot of micro things over time. If you have all the money, for sure, donate.
Yeah.
Definitely do that. I'm
But just
not
a little, yeah.
steering away from that. No, I think these are helpful reminders for people. I think these are directives and suggestions people can get behind without feeling like, we're
I know.
judging them, criticizing them.
Now
So
we just need to figure out, let's start, how do we figure out how to use writing to get ICE out of LA?
no, next step,
No,
next
okay, we'll talk
next
about that
podcast.
off air.
Yeah, they gotta go. It's not okay.
No. Anyway.
Yeah, let's think on it. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see. In
Little
the
things here
mean,
and there.
yeah. In the meantime, where can people find you online if you want to be found?
I have a website because I do freelance copywriting as my main gig. And that is at sallyglass.xyz is my website.
Love it.
And I have my artwork at sallyglass.info. And I think I have some videos on the internet somewhere. I don't know. These are just, I mean, I have like a whole art life where I started an art magazine and I have all this other, there's just like a lot of stuff online. So, turn it into a scavenger hunt, see what you can find.
Do you want to be found on Instagram? Did you already mention?
Oh, it's at Sally Glass on Instagram, but I'm private and I usually don't accept people unless I know you.
Don't come looking for her on Instagram,
Oh,
is
but
what
I
she
do have
said.
I do have a ceramics
We
Instagram.
have boundaries over here.
Glass.ceramics is my ceramics Instagram, so you can find me there too.
Love that. That's why I always ask people, where do you
I
want to be
know.
found?
I know. I know.
Okay. Well, Sally, you've been super generous. You've been thoughtful. You've been engaging, amazing as usual. I'm not surprised at all. Thank you so much. Listeners out there, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Reach out if you need support. Be good to each other. That's it.
Thank you, Z. You're the best. You're amazing. You're wonderful. We love you. You're an icon. You are the moment.